Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. Because we're experts. This is what we do.
Oh, is that what we are now?
Yeah, well, okay, so experts is probably strong. But it is actually what we do. We read a ton of comics. We're around comics all the time. And it feels like I haven't had much opportunity to read a lot of comics the last few weeks.
I mean, you've been busy with good reason.
Well, we've all been extra busy because of all of this. But it's been a couple light weeks in a row, like 2 or 3 light weeks in a row now. And while the number of titles aren't very deep, the quality of titles is still there. So let's jump in with your selection and coming back to a favorite of yours.
Yeah, so it's been a bit. I Like Popeye issue 4. This is one that I think it was like November or December was the last time an issue came out. Like I know a lot of you probably are aware that some of the smaller publishers the last couple of years have had like distribution problems in terms of like getting their stuff out on time. I constantly have people like wanting to check see if like a book is coming in or not, which again is part of why it's important that you actually get signed up for these things. Because if you don't and this happens, then you're just kind of like, well, who knows when it's going to show up.
Download the app, and when you see a title that you want to get, there's a little semicircle with an arrow on it. That's the recurring button. That means that you'll get signed up for a subscription, not just that singular issue.
Yeah, because it's just when you got a book you like and you want to support it, and maybe sometimes for reasons outside your control, outside the distributor or publisher's control, you just can't. It's a good way to be able to make sure that once you eventually can get to enjoy it, you've got the opportunity.
Yeah.
But so issue 4 picks up where we left off. So basically the whole gist of this series, for those who might have forgotten, is basically what is Popeye, but we also like dash in like a little pinch of like anime, like shonen tropes in here. So like you've got people with like weird powers, which I mean isn't exactly super weird to Popeye. There's always like some weird thing going on.
Well, it's that feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
So like Popeye cartoons and Disney comics and those kinds of things influenced early anime, and now it's coming back. And
they're like, I would not be surprised if you could like draw a direct line from like the old like Popeye like comic strips and cartoons from Fleischer to the like early like gag manga and stuff. Like I could easily see how there's like a correlation there. So, I mean, it's a Popeye comic, so you get some fun fights. There's a great little bit with Wimpy in here, who, I just always enjoyed him in the old cartoons, just, doesn't really care about the actual main plot of whatever's happening. He's just trying to get food.
Just hamburgers.
Yeah, and, gets drawn into this, just why am I involved in this? It's great. Weirdly enough, for a Popeye comic, the main draw of this issue, honestly, for me, was there's, a lot of, fun character stuff in here. There's a really nice exchange between Popeye and Bluto. They've been really leaning into as kind of more of a rival character, not so much he's an antagonist and him and Popeye don't always get along, but there's this element of all these other characters are really all Bluto has in his life. He doesn't really have anything else going on, so his relationship with them is it's weird and it's antagonistic, but it's also it's kind of the thing that helps make him. Right. And just kind of having that kind of get hashed out between them was a fun little thing that, again, it's such a weird little Popeye comic in that it's got everything you kind of expect out of a Popeye book in terms of the funny Popeye-isms that he does, the way he talks, the action, plenty of spinach, but there's also a lot of heart going on, a lot of these weird little interpersonal dynamics between the characters, and the art. I believe the writer and the artist is the same person. Yeah, Marcus Williams. This very anime cartoony vibe that he brings to it fits perfectly. I think I know he's done a bunch of fan art over the years. He's done some cover work, I think, but I'm pretty sure this is the first real interior stuff I've seen him do, and it's been really good. And I'd love to see him do more of this, more original stuff potentially. Just a big fan of it. I again was super excited to see that this was finally coming back out. I think there's only one more issue left after this, so hopefully there's not another big wait. And yeah, once it's all in a nice collected edition, would happily recommend it to people. I mean, would recommend it to people regardless. But.
Yeah, well, Massive ended up moving over to Penguin, so we should be good going forward.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, this series has been a fun little surprise, because that means, like, when you hear, like, modern Popeye comics, you don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
And then, like, you get this and it's like, oh, this is actually really fun.
Yeah.
So
now they need to, like, trot out Blondie and Dagwood or something.
I honestly, Blondie and Dagwood is, like, taken, like, this takes from, like, shonen action stuff. If like that took from like more of like shoujo romance, like, oh, that actually could work.
Yeah, it's $1 million idea. Somebody get out there and do that.
It's weird. It's weird how these things can like mesh in ways that you don't think about until you do. And just like,
is Blondie and Dagwood in the public domain now? It's got to be close.
That's a good question, actually. Well, we should look that up afterwards.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, speaking of a book that thankfully hasn't had much delays, because why would you want to wait on this?
Exactly. I went with Zatanna number 3. I keep looking at my pile every week and seeing so much more DC than I've ever picked up in the past. And there are so many good DC books that are coming out right now, and this is at the top of my list. So I was super excited when the Zatanna miniseries ended that we were getting an ongoing series that's not tied to it at all.
Yeah.
Because the miniseries was a Black Label book. But I just like the character. And, other than Justice League Dark and showing up as kind of guest appearances, it's sporadic when she gets her own title. So I was very excited about this. And then to see that Campbell was doing everything, basically, the art and the story, I was very interested, because those tend to be really well thought out, complete, kind of experiences as opposed to just a story.
Well, it's kind of a similar thing here. There's a certain and like you're saying, you can definitely feel in like the layout of a book. There's a difference between when because obviously like if you're a comic writer, you should have a good understanding of like how to like lay your page out well. But it's a whole other thing when like it's the artist who like very essentially knows like how to visually have the story flow.
Yeah, and not every artist is a great storyteller when it comes to dialogue. We've certainly seen even some of the greats struggle at times. Not going to name any names, but there are massive names in comics who, when they were writing their own stuff, it was just fine, or it was not great.
Yeah.
But this has been really good. I feel like the dialogue is not clunky. It is pulling you through the story, and you're slowing down in order to really take in all the art. And in this one, we get to see Clayface do some weird stuff, so the whole book flows visually and with the dialogue and with the story and everything.
I love that the use of color to kind of like distinguish like time period stuff too with it. Like the really good way of doing that.
Yeah, for sure. In the cast of characters here, it's a number of people that we don't get to see very often, including Blue Devil, which is interesting. Other than seeing a bunch of covers, I don't have, and showing up in, a universe-wide event here or there, I don't have a ton of experience with Blue Devil, and I wager that most people probably don't. There's probably some hardcore fans that read the 80s series.
Or like know them from like the Shadow Pack days in the early 2000s.
Yeah. But it's been really fun. And, so the Blue Devil part of the story is kind of the anchor to the real world. So in the previous issue, she went in through a movie poster. Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of Mario 64, which I thought was fun. Right? Yeah. And it's basically that experience, right? You go through the movie poster and you're in a world themed that way. So it was really cool. But I'm just really loving this book. It's really good. And I hope that a lot of people read it, because I really want it to keep going. So, all right, well, there is a book up here that people have definitely been reading. We're only on the second issue, but the first issue was hot.
Oh, yeah.
Not a surprise.
No, yeah. Needless to say, it moved fast.
Yeah.
Absolute Flash issue 2. So, yeah, this issue picks up where we kind of left off before. As you can tell from the cover, he's dealing with this universe's version of the Rogues. And I think we talked about this a bit in the last issue. It's very interesting, the kind of like, one, the dynamic flip between like Wally and them, but then also their like dynamic as a team.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot of like the kind of stuff you expect from them. There's the bickering because like they each have like these very strong personalities and attitudes about how like, oh, I do this thing.
Yeah.
But then like reframed as like they're this kind of like paramilitary group. Like they're like seem to have been like sent to get Wally by either like his dad or like whatever his dad's associated with the military. Like it's very different, but like in a way where like it doesn't like take away anything you love about these characters.
Right. And similar to with Barry Allen in this, because we get to see a little more of the backstory of the accident.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. Yeah, and the visuals there were really cool.
Yeah.
But I really like the spin that they're doing on like all the aesthetics of the characters. It's like you can still tell who they're supposed to be, but they are really dynamic looking.
Oh no, like I love like their version of Trickster with like the weird giant head thing here is super cool, and just like their weird little gadgets. And everything, like I love Glider. She's got these like weird like energy like sticks that like like their whole thing is good. There's a certain character that gets introduced at the end that is very, very different from what I think people will be expecting, but in a way where I couldn't be more excited to see like what they do with that.
I was reading next to Dominic this morning, and I laughed out loud when I got to that. And he's like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "It would take too long to explain." But it was great. It was, and the setup for it was perfect.
It's that like perfect like setting you up for the thing, like the thing that you expect, and like the way that they like turn on its head is like such a fun little like okay. Which again is like one of the things that a lot of these books have done well. Just like they make it fun when because it's like sometimes a twist or a change can just feel like a twist or a change. It's like, and like that can be fine. Like it's just like, oh, you just like did this thing different or whatever.
Yeah.
But like when you can make it fun, when you can like make someone like chuckle, like, oh, okay, this is like that, like that's always like a thing that I like when you can do that with these kind of like alternate universe books where it's just like, this is a fun little bit. Like it's. Yeah, and we talked about the first issue. The art here is really good, especially we get a bit more into like we're understanding a bit more about how Wally's powers work in this universe, and the way that they communicate that visually at points is very interesting.
So there were some implications in the first issue that seem to be confirmed here, but then there's also like it's a different spin on. So they have not mentioned Speed Force or any of that. Yeah. So it's a different spin, I think, on how the powers are working. And it's almost like Wally's body was completely torn down. And, like there's some impression there that he is energy. Like
they're like
embodied in the embodiment of energy or something.
And there's definitely some more to like the origin. Like we haven't seen the full flashback, it looks like, yet, but there's definitely something more going on because we get like, and we get more of an idea of like how his powers work, but also there's like some other things introduced with it. We're like, oh, here's some of the implications of what that could mean.
Right.
Like they're like it's again the thing of just like you get one answer, you get like another question, but like in a way where like it's basically you're eating something and like, ooh, I want more of this. Like it's like satisfying, but you still like you need more. Yeah.
And the Jeff Lemire has also set up 2 paths that this story could go down.
Yeah, and the way they do that, and just like
it was really cool.
And like basically the title drop was super cool. Yeah. But no, this like again, all the Absolute books have been just like absolutely fantastic out the gate. And this one, like, because this is one of the ones where I wasn't, like, as sure what to think of it, just because, like, I don't know, like, how, like, what can we do new with the Flash? Because there's been a bunch of different versions of the Flash, and, like, they each has their own little thing here and there, but, like, this one is very much, like, feeling like its own, because, I mean, like, Batman he's, for all the differences of Absolute Batman, he's still doing a lot of the, like, kind of standard Batman stuff, kind of same with some of the Superman stuff. One of the things, like, with this, or, like, Absolute Wonder Woman, they're very much leaning to, like, aspects that are, like, have always been, like, kind of adjacent to, like, with Wonder Woman, like, leaning to more of, like, the magical, like, aspects of it. Here, you leaning to more of, like, kind of, like, at times, like, there'd be, like, some kind of, like, body horror, like, some weird, really weird sci-fi elements to, like, all this, like, kind of super speed stuff.
Yeah, it's... So, you know, we've been talking about how the Ultimate Universe and the Absolute Universe have been kind of doing a fun little twist on it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's more kind of like, imagine that you had like a soundboard in front of you, and you've got all of the elements that are in the song that's being played, and you're turning up the different levels of different things, and maybe turning down the levels of other things. But it still feels like the same song. You're just emphasizing different parts of it in a different way. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like the difference between, like, if someone's, like, just doing, like a nice cover version of a song versus someone who's, like, really bringing, like, their, like, own energy to it. Like, they'll maybe enunciate something different. They're, like, they might, like, even add, like, a little... like, just a little something here or there that wasn't in the original to, like, accentuate a part.
Yeah. This is like Hendrix doing All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah.
Right? Like
That's a really, like... Because, like, the Dylan version is good. Like, there's a reason that Hendrix was like, I'm going to do my version of this. Yeah. But then, like, you think of the song, you think of Hendrix doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Yeah. All right, well, what was close this week?
They're very, like... I could... As much as I love Die Like Popeye, and it was a fun return to form... I very easily could have swapped it out for New Gods. Like, this issue, everything about continues to be amazing. I love getting to see, like, the other side of, like, the end of the last issue where Highfather is just, like, light ray, call it, clear the field. And just, like, what that actually, like, means in the... and, like, all that, the stuff on Earth with the whole, like, dynamic between Miracle and Orion. The last page might be one of my favorite last pages, just in terms of, like, how... Like, this book does a really good job of how you actually, like, transition scenes via, like, dialogue from one scene to, like, it's the thing that, like, Watchmen did really well, where, like, just the throwaway line from one panel sets up another panel in a way. And the way they do that for the final page in this issue is just spectacular. Like, again, this book could be up here every time it comes out with, like, without any hesitation.
Yeah.
But again, I gotta shout out the other things I love, because, like, you can't always be old New Gods all the time, as much as I could easily let that be the case.
Yeah.
But no, that was fantastic. I don't know, what about you, Patrick?
Well, we were talking about how gorgeous the Summer of Superman special is. It just looks great.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much Superman stuff coming up, and we'll get to that in just a second here. I also enjoyed Iron Man. I was talking to Mason last night about the current Iron Man series, and it still doesn't hit as well as, like, the Cantwell series did for me. But it's moving in an interesting direction. Basically, Tony's trying to he's trying to outsmart Doom and bring down, you know, the one world under Doom regime. And he's fooled one of Doom's lackeys. I don't think this plan's going to work very well against Doom. I think Doom's going to see right through it. But the downfall of Doom is always Doom's ego, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's obviously got to be where Marvel is going with this. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be, you know, some MacGuffin or something that kind of pops in. But anyway, so, all right, well... lots of good stuff to read this week, but we have tons of events, so let's get to that. All right, so Saturday is Superman Day, so we've got a bunch of Superman promo books, free giveaways and stuff. and there's some graphic novels and issues and so forth that are printed specifically for Superman Day 2025. Fun little logo on them and all that kind of stuff. Collectible if
also,
you're a Superman person.
On that note, you'll definitely want to grab your copy of the Superman special before that, just because, like, if you look at our racks, we usually don't actually have much for the main Superman book on there because they keep selling out, and this isn't going to be any exception. With, again, like, you've got, like, a bunch of, like, this book has a bunch of people working on, like, Mark Waid, Josh Williams, Dan Slott, who's going to have his own Superman book coming up. Yep. They've all taken turns at writing on here. Jorge Jimenez, who we were talking about before, like, clearly really wants to do more Superman stuff. Right? Like, I mean, that's like what made him big in the first place, was doing Superman stuff. Like, this dude loves to draw Superman. Yeah. Like, could probably go the rest of his career just drawing Superman and would probably be happy. Yeah. Like, it's gorgeous. Yeah. All kinds of good stuff. And Superman's back. I think we're kind of, it's funny how, as society kind of turns through different stages, Batman gets really popular, Wonder Woman gets really popular, Superman gets really popular. And people, in the interim, people will be like, Superman, he's so passé. He's too much of a Boy Scout and whatever. And now people are really embracing Superman again. It's just kind of the way the world works. But, all right, so once we get you in the mood for free stuff on Saturday, then we're going to turn around, and on May 3rd, it's Free Comic Book Day. And there is a ton. We've got boxes and boxes and boxes of comics. But last year, it was, we were just rushed from the get-go. We gave away, I thought that we ordered so many last year that we would never go through them. We were out. And so I upped the orders again this year, but I fully expect that we are going to have a huge response. We've got one local creator, Lockdown for Sure. I just saw the posters that they made to promote the event. Nice. Yeah, very cool. I'll show you afterwards. And in talks with another local creator to be here. I just think that's awesome that we've got people in the community that are looking to make their own comic books and publish, and they've just got a story that they really want to tell. So we'll have that. We'll have face painting and temporary tattoos and free comic books. And they run from all age ranges. So it's not just geared towards kids. It's not just geared towards current comic book readers. There's something for those groups, but it's also geared towards, the comic book curious teenagers and adults. And there's all kinds of titles and different genres. You've got stuff that's more comedic. You've got stuff that's more like horror or sci-fi fantasy. Obviously, a bunch of superhero stuff. Basically, like, something for everyone. Absolutely. And if you want to see the list of titles, just Google Free Comic Book Day or go to freecomicbookday.com. Freecomicbookday.com doesn't have all of them listed. Or you can there's this whole thing with the distributors and how this is all working, and there's some legal stuff going on with the sale of Diamond and how this all works. Fun with bankruptcy. Oh my gosh, yeah. So we've got that, and that's going to happen in our new location at 731 South Front Street. So it's one block south of where we're at right now. We alluded to it earlier. Everybody's been working extra because we're trying to get the property ready. And we ran into a big snag in this weekend that has slowed the whole process down. So we might not be as far along on the property as we were really hoping for. But we're going to be there. So it'll be very welcoming for you regardless. Yeah, and we've had a ton of people asking about how can they help with the move and those kinds of questions. So our rough plan as it stands right now is sometime around noon on Sunday. The 27th. The 27th. Because we are closed for Easter, so that's another good reason to stop in on Saturday. Get your shopping done then, so you don't have to worry about it. So come in for Superman Day because Bunny's laying eggs happens the next day. And no one wants to mess with that. We can't be at work for that. No. So, actually, I'm gonna be painting if everything goes well. I told the family, like, no painting Easter eggs this year. We're painting walls. So the plan for the move then is on the 27th, sometime around noon, about when the store opens. If you're wanting to volunteer and just help move boxes or product or what have you, that we're going to start coordinating.
with the back office stuff and our extra fixtures and so forth, and moving all of that stuff over. And then throughout the day, we'll just kind of move through the store. And then hopefully by late afternoon, we've got all that stuff moved over there. And we'll start moving the front end of the store. So we'll have the whole staff here, and we'll be able to coordinate. But it's just a block. So if you've got a cart or, even a trunk, or you're just willing to walk some boxes down, that's all appreciated.
And we'll be running like normal store hours on Sunday as much as we can, especially in the morning. So if you do want to stop in and just like do your normal shopping and everything, absolutely feel free to.
Yeah, it makes less stuff that we have to haul over.
Buy a whole box of comics here so we don't have to move it.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, so we're very, very excited. We've got some new ideas on making the layout a lot better, more conducive to shoppers being able to find exactly what it is that they want. Some new offerings at the new location. Certainly a lot bigger space.
Oh yeah. If you're one of our comic guys who's also a Magic guy, you're going to be very happy with the area you're going to actually play games in now.
Yeah.
So no complaints there, I would think.
Big ideas. So we'll see how far along we get with it. But and thank you to everybody who's helped already. It's been great. So all right. Well, we will be back next week with more picks, and be sure to like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, and stop on into your local comic shop. If it's us, great. If it's if you're out in, I don't know, Timbuktu, stop into your local comic shop and support them, because that's what keeps this whole ball rolling for everybody. And like I said, we'll be back next week with more picks. Until then, enjoy the reading. Superman Day, Move Day, Free Comic Book Day.
Oh, and probably just also remind that we're closed for Easter.
Good idea.